We are now going to turn our attention to the bottom side of our cribbage board. On the bottom side of our cribbage board, we want to make this nice little magnetic pocket with a magnetic lid to be able to store a pack of playing cards or cribbage pegs. And to do this, we're going to create a whole new file from this file to begin with. So the first thing we're going to do is, with our file open, we're going to come up and go File, Save As, and we are going to call this file now Cribbage Board Bottom. Find a place to save that, and we'll make sure now that anything we do on this file will not overwrite the top side file that we already have saved. So with this, I can grab my outer vector here and I can hide that real quick. I can grab everything from the inside and delete that, and then I can type in show to bring back my outer vector. And this is the only one that matters at this point. So at this point we need to know a little bit about what we are creating. We are trying to create a vector, a rounded rectangle to hold a deck of cards. The standard dimensions for a deck of cards is a length of 3.5 inches and a width of 2.5 inches. So to start with, I'm going to come over to my rectangle tool. And I'm going to grab this rounded rectangle option right here. And at this point, I'm going to select the 3-point option here. I'm going to start my rounded rectangle anywhere on my screen. I'm going to type in 2.5, enter for the width. Hold my shift key down and click. I'm going to pull up and I'm going to type in the value of 3.5, enter, and click. And now I am going to shape the corners of those just by eye to what I think a deck of cards looks like with that radius. And here I have a rounded rectangle that represents a deck of cards. Now with this rectangle, I want to have enough clearance so that the cards can fit in and out of that rectangle. So I'm going to take my rectangle and in my command line I'm going to type in offset. I'm going to offset this by a distance. So I'm going to type in here, click distance, a distance of a 1/16 of an inch, which is 0.0625 inches. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to pull that out from that rectangle and click. And now I can delete this inner rectangle. So with this, I'm going to bring this over, and using my gumball, I'm going to snap it to that quadrant point so I know it's centered. And then I'm going to pull that up. And so now I've got this part of this little cutout. Now I need the rectangle for the pegs. So I am going to do the exact same thing. Select my rounded rectangle. I'm going to select the 3-point option. I'm going to type in 2.5, enter, pull my shift key down, and this time for my height, I'm going to give it a height of 1.25 inches. Enter, pull up and click, and then I'm going to try to match the radius on that other rectangle that I made. With this, I'm going to do my same offset, pull out a 1/16 of an inch so it'll match the width of the other rectangle, delete this rectangle, and now I can grab this and snap this to the midpoint of this rectangle and line that up. And now I've got these two rectangles ready to go. What I want to do is create this little cutout here so I can stick my finger in and get the cards out of that hole. So I'm going to grab my circle tool here. I'm going to come to my midpoint with my mid snap on, click. I'm going to pull out and just size that to something that looks like I can get my finger in there and click. Now I can drag a selection box around those two, select my trim tool, and trim those out, and join. And the last thing I want to do is create this rectangle that goes along the outside of this. This is going to be a little rabbet that is cut by the CNC machine so that our lid can fit into that hole. So to do this, I'm going to grab my rounded rectangle once more. And in this case, I want to have a 1/2 of an inch of a rabbet here. So I'm going to add an inch to the width. I'm going to come here, and I'm going to go with the 3-point option. I'm going to go 3.5 inches for my width. And then I'm going to pull this up and eyeball this. And at this point, I'm going to come place this here. And just check this. It looks like I've got a good amount of space here on either side. I do need to make it a little taller, so I'm going to grab just this green box and eyeball this and get this placed so that I've got roughly the same perimeter all the way around. And with this, now I will select this and type in the command fillet and change my radius to a value of 0.25. And I'm going to fillet the corners of this rectangle. And now I have this set of rectangles all set up, ready for a deck of cards, some pegs, and my magnets. Last thing I want to do is grab these all. I'm going to group them, and I'm going to snap that to the quadrant point that way and this way. And now I know this is centered as well. And now we've got the backside vectors ready to be exported to Aspire to set up our toolpaths to cut these pockets.